In this section, we will look at the layout of the Assembly Hall. Most of you will enter by the front gates having walked up the mound. The Assembly Hall is located on Mound Place. After you've negotiated the steps, you'll be greeted by the stewards who will want to see your pass. However, if you have any mobility problems, it's much easier to arrive at the Lawn Market entrance. This is located at the top of the Royal Mile. It's wheelchair friendly, with internal ramps and a lift down to the hall. Again, stewards will guide you. We are now in the black and white corridor, named because of the colour of the floor tiles. In order to streamline your progress, we operate a strict one-way system. As you enter the system, you have a choice. If you immediately turn right, you will enter the cloakroom where the coats and bags can be left. If, however, you go straight on, the first door on the left is the Assembly Office. Here, Alison Murray and her team can give you advice and can issue you with replacement swipe cards and voting handsets. Next to the Assembly Office is the Steward's Office. As you move through the one-way system, you will enter a large open area where your voting handsets will be distributed on the opening morning. After that, you can collect them from the Assembly Office. Continue around the system and you will enter the Rainey Hall at the far end. Here you will find the Commissioners' boxes where you'll be able to collect your papers and leave messages for other Commissioners. But remember, your box is above your number. You can also buy tea, coffee and other snacks here, and if you like, purchase breakfast and lunch. There's a large screen in the hall so you can keep an eye on proceedings, but remember that you can't register your attendance when in the Rainey Hall. Let's now look at the other area you can access from the one-way system. When you get into the open area, instead of going left to the Rainey Hall, go right into the rest of New College. This takes you to the Martin Hall, where there are displays for the boards and councils of the church, a bookshop, and displays from church outfitters. Let's now look at the geography of the Assembly Hall itself. Looking from the moderator's chair, all of downstairs is Commissioners' seating only. You may sit anywhere, except where reserve notices are for certain sessions, like the introduction of delegates and visitors, or the report of chaplains to Her Majesty's forces. Upstairs, the West Gallery is for members of the public. They enter through the Lawn Market entrance only. Commissioners are not allowed to sit in this area, and there are no microphone facilities. The South or Organ Gallery and the East Gallery are for the use of Commissioners. There are some reserved seats in the Organ Gallery for new college students. The Lord High Commissioner's Gallery is for guests of the Lord High Commissioner. There is also reserved seating for guests and families of the moderator and former moderators. Halfway back in the hall is what's known as the bar of the Assembly. Here petitions are presented and spoken on. However, Commissioners can use the microphones here at any time. There are about 30 microphone points around the hall. You can use any one, but please follow the instruction of putting your swipe card in with the number facing you and press the white button once only to request to speak. It is the moderator's decision to select the order of speakers and to decide when debate has run its course. If you decide not to speak because somebody has made the same point, just remove your card. The table on either side of the moderator is for the officials of the Assembly. The occupants of these seats may change from year to year, but their function remains the same. On the far left is the Vice Convener of the Business Committee. Their job is to process any notices of motion and to administer any electronic vote. It is to this person that you would hand any notice of motion or amendment that you propose to put to the Assembly. Next is the Minute Secretary, whose role is to assist the Deputy Clerk in drafting the minute of the General Assembly. They also communicate with the control room to enable notices of motion to be shown on the screens. Next is the Deputy Clerk of the Assembly. They are responsible for the final minute and will deputise for the Principal Clerk as required. The Deputy Clerk will also ring the bell to alert speakers when their time is nearly up. Next to the moderator sits the Principal Clerk, whose job is to advise the moderator and the Assembly on matters of church law. On the other side of the moderator sits the business convener. Their role is to organise the business of the Assembly and to ensure that it runs smoothly. Next is the procurator, who is a Queen's Counsel and whose role is to advise the Assembly on matters of civil law. Finally, the solicitor of the church, whose role is to advise on civil law and in particular on property law. The Assembly will often welcome guests of the Lord High Commissioner to address the Assembly. In previous years, these have included Prime Ministers and religious leaders like Archbishop Desmond Tutu and the Archbishop of Canterbury. A senior representative from Her Majesty's Forces is always invited to address the Assembly at the time of the report from the chaplains to the Forces Committee. The Assembly Hall can get very warm, and it's a good idea to dress sensibly but respectfully. There are a number of cold water dispensers around the corridors. Assembly stewards are a great font of information. Many of them have done the job for years, and they're always happy to give you information. The Assembly will normally break for lunch at about 12:30 each day. There are many additional lunchtime events in the Fringe programme which you can go to. And don't forget, Heart and Soul on Sunday afternoon in Princess Street Gardens. It's a full and busy week, but it's enjoyable and stimulating, and you're very likely to make a lot of new friends during your time at the Assembly.